All right, so this is probably the most important video. And if there's anything that you really want to sharpen up all the time, it will be the way that you're going to write prompts. So that questions you ask AI to get answers from, or the code you want to write. The prompt is important, and in fact there's a name for it, and it's called promtology, right? So we have promtology, and we're going to look at that right now. Okay, we've done this. So let's just get into the real thing. And you can see it's a crown, and what stands out immediately is context. What is meant by context? It is giving AI the background. Let AI understand what you really want to do. And here's a few things. What's the goal? What's the pain points? What's the vision of the brand? What constraints are there? What is the user profile, for instance? All these things form context. You know, I can go and write maybe a piece of code and say, create me a newsletter application that will store newsletters. You can give it to AI and AI will do something for you. All right, but how about you give it context? How about you say, you know, this client, 80% of his marketing and branding stuff is around his newsletter subscribers. So not only does he want newsletters to be very functional with segmentation, with different newsletters, but also these newsletters need to be automated in such a way that it's fun for whoever subscribed to the newsletter to be part of this newsletter. So on the front page, you know, the newsletter should be like a carrot that will give away something free, and as the guys subscribe, it will be sent to him automatically. So emails are very powerful for this user, very important, and thus the newsletters should do this, that, and so forth. All right, so that's context. Why is it there? And then, of course, how about the pain point? Currently, what happens is people subscribe to the newsletter, and sometimes they don't even get the newsletter thank you message, you know, or you know, it should be in a split second that a guy gets the newsletter with something to immediately do, some action to take immediately, and that doesn't happen, you know. Newsletter is, I suppose, not such a good example here, but I do think you get the point. All right, so context is king, and don't blabber around as I just did. All right, try to keep it concise. All right, do it maybe in a bullet point format, saying, so here is the context. The context is that the customer is heavily dependent on his newsletter subscribers. Point 2, he wants to make newsletters fun and engaging, maybe even create a badge or something, etc., etc. Okay, so if you're going to not be precise and just talking along and just talking basically nonsense that means nothing to AI, you're going to get garbage out. If you're not going to give context and expect AI to have to know that these guys need to have a fun way of subscribing to newsletter, it will never know it. You know, that's not what AI can do or do. Okay, that is the job of the architect. So yes, garbage in, garbage out. Now, when you create a prompt, there are 5 different things you should have in this prompt. Context is king. Context is the most important. Okay. Giving the background, giving as much information as possible. Next is the identity, and by identity is mean what should be done. Is this going to be a slide? Is this going to be a spreadsheet, a balance sheet, an image, a whatever the case may be? Then you need to tell AI to take on a role. So you'll go and say, I've got a balance sheet that I need to balance. Your role is that you are an experienced financial advisor for small to medium sized companies. And your speciality is to work through balance sheets to find outliers and things like that. Now, then you give the context. We constantly have errors in our balancing, and it seems this, that, and so forth. And of course, this creates tremendous conflict because, it influences the budget extremely. Then the output. What is the output? Is how do you want that data to be presented? Should it be just in a output where it gives you information? Should it be in a PDF format? Should it be a graphic that is square? Should it be in a spreadsheet format? And so on. And lastly, references. Remember, there was a place in ChatGPT and so forth where you can add files. So how about a customer's branding file? Or how about the actual balance sheet? All these things are added then to the prompt as references. You can, for instance, have a little robot you designed. You can put that in a graphical software and say, yes, is a robot. And you can then say, this robot should be on a pedestal that turns, or it might be a can of new cold drink that, are in a bucket of ice with ice drops, on the can showing how cold it is and so forth. But there you have a reference. So this is your pillars. First of all, what is the identity? I'm a slide maker. You make slides. You're going to create a graphic. You're going to create a business plan. The next thing is give him a role. You are a branding specialist that specializes in archetypes and archetype implementation. Then the context, then how do you want the output to look like? And then the reference material. The reference material, you know what, when you create, as an example, a web page, by simply adding 2 or 3 images, your AI already have your color scheme, it already understands the fonts, and just by looking at all these things, it can already come back and say, you know what, I see these colors, I see this, and so forth. Are we going to use them? I suggest using a very dark blue as the background of all the pages, with a light gray font for normal typing, but then reds for headlines and oranges for tags and things like that. So from references, AI can get an extreme amount of data. Here's an idea. The other day, my washing machine gave me some problems. All right, so I took my cell phone, went to Kimi, and I take a picture of the model number, and I described what's wrong. It came back and said, oh, I see, this is the model number, blah, blah, blah. and it says the probable cause is this and that. So open up the backside, take a multimeter, test these 2 pins, and the third thing that he wanted me to test was the problem, and it was fixed, probably 15 minutes. So now I'm a washing repair specialist too. But what I gave it is references throughout the process. It asked me, take a picture of this, take a picture of that. And that is very much the references that it then uses to help me to find the error. So you want to give AI an prompt the full picture. You want to give it the pain points. You want to give it the brand where it's applicable. You want to give it the vision. You want to give it the reasons why. Why is it needed, right? And then you need to tell it how you want it done. That's the output. You want to give it references. So no, not just build a website for this customer. No. It's going to build one, it's going to work, but it's not what you want, probably. Sometimes it's right, and it gives you something even better than you expected, right? But you have no control. You don't know if that's really going to happen. So your superpower template, my friend, is you need the identity given. What is the task going to be? You need the context. You need to give it a role. You know, you are a specialist. You can even take personas. So a role is also a persona of someone famous. All right. And so you are this person. Then your output is important, and then your references. All right. So we're going to practice that now in the next lesson. We're going to go back to ChatGTP and so forth, and we're going to add some prompts in there, and prompts that's not so good, and then prompts that's following principles, and see the difference. And then I want you to start continuously playing with prompting until it is second nature to you. So that's it for this lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you soon. Bye.